According to a recent Workday Global survey of more than 1,100 senior executives, half of HR leaders are focusing on positive employee experiences to accelerate transformation across their businesses. But it's not only HR leaders. Delivering an engaging, effortless, and inclusive employee experience is top of mind for the entire executive leadership team. I'm Greg Thomas from Workday, and to learn more about Workday's vision for simplifying and elevating the user experience, I'm joined by three workmates: Berea Schaffer, Vice President of Mobile; Jeff Gelfuso, Chief Design Officer; and Ali Fuller, General Manager of Employee Experience. Thank you all for being here.
Thanks.
Thanks for having us.
Let's start with you. Workday
Sure.
recently announced a new wave of innovations that will make work easier and deliver a dynamic and tailored experience. Talk about that.
Yeah, everything we're working on, Greg, is really about making work effortless. And when we think about that, there's really two sides of that coin, right? One is about simplifying the digital experience, and that's really important, and we have a super laser-like focus on that. But the other part of that is really about elevating the human experience. And so when we think about that end-to-end experience that an employee has, it has to really deal with both of those areas. And so as we look at both sides of that coin, so to say, we also really focus on ensuring that we're making it more personalized and more relevant for every user based on their role and their function and their behaviors.
There's a lot in there, and we'll get into more of that. So, Ali, you spend a lot of time doing research, engaging with users, with observational studies, in-depth interviews, all sorts of stuff to understand their behaviors. What do you find?
Well, and maybe I'll add, we've spent hundreds of hours with
Yes.
our users and our customers, so a big thank you to them. But it's important we learn from them, of course, not just talking around a table, although we like to do that too, but really seeing how they're using the product. I would say one of the biggest pain points that have come up, not only in qualitative but quantitative research as well, is really around discoverability. So if we think about employees and managers in particular, and we actually spoke to customers, we found that they have access to upwards of 140 applications that span HR, IT, and finance.
Wow.
So if you think about trying to go somewhere to find information, get an answer to a question, it's almost nearly impossible to know
where
where
do
to
I go?
Right. So taking that into account, how do we help people find things in Workday, but also recognizing Workday is just one of those tools that people might be using. So a lot of our investments are really centered around helping the user in Workday find the things that they're looking for, both passive discovery and active discovery, through things like search and natural language. But also with our Workday Everywhere strategy, it's about meeting users where they are and the tools that they're already in. So back to the 140 applications, how can we come to users, meet them in the flow of work? And that's our offering with Workday for Microsoft Teams and Slack as well.
Yeah. And just to add on that, I think one of the other really interesting ones that stands out that we hear all the time is just simplifying the key tasks that are in there. We hear there's too many clicks to get done, something that should be very simple. And so that's something that you're hearing throughout our experience strategy and something we're really focused on.
Yeah. Well, and if you think about some of those things, there are certain things that we do all the time, like make those as simple as possible, right? And something that I only do once a quarter, once a year, that can probably be a little bit harder. I've forgotten, but but if I'm in there every day, like, wow, like saving a couple clicks saves a bunch of time.
Yeah.
Well, and we've found, I think that's really important, we found that it's important to bring those simplified flows forward to the homepage, the search experience, mobile, everywhere, so that people don't have to go 5 levels deep into an application. If you're just clicking approve, a quick approval, or if you're doing 1 to 2 clicks for something, how about we let you do that in the context of the experiences you're already in? You don't need to go to full page experience to do that.
Yeah, I love it when I get the time off requests and they're just in Slack and it's like, yes. And like,
So
that's
easy.
it. No mental overhead. It's just done. It really simplifies.
As people leaders, I use Workday for Slack every single day.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yeah. I really like it. So Jeff, can you share some background? We've got 3 pillars for the redesigned experience. What are they? Why did we choose those 3 pillars?
Yeah, so in addition to obviously designing great product experiences, and we think about each of those, whether that's talent or learning or finance, we have to really also think about the breadth or the seamlessness across those experiences. And so, yes, we're still focused on making sure our individual products are really, really well designed, but we now have a strategic kind of initiative to think about how do we make sure that those things are seamless, they feel really good as you move between them, and that hasn't really been a focus for us. And so, looking at our overall strategy, we came up with these 3 pillars. And this was really informed by a lot of the data, a lot of the conversations that we've had. The first one is engage, and you heard me talk about this a little bit in the keynote. That's really about simplifying those top tasks, The nerdy version of that is we call them jobs to be done, and we're focused on outcomes, and won't bore everybody with that.
Well, if it's a job to be done, I want it even simpler, right? Like, just get me through.
That's right, exactly. Really making sure that we understand those and we help users get through that in the most seamless possible way, right? The second is really about Workday Empower. And Empower is, again, as I said earlier, tailoring that experience, making it very relevant, very personal. So if I'm a frontline worker, I might only interact with 2 or 3 things, and I've got to make sure that on my mobile device, it is so simple. I don't need all the other depth that maybe a professional user that goes really deep in a certain area needs to focus on. And so you'll see us pull those experiences forward so that those individual user types are more empowered to do the work that they need to do. And the last I think we've both been talking about already is everywhere. We do see a big shift in actually where our traffic, where those users are going to want to complete those tasks. And so we want to meet them in their natural flow of work. So that is not only in Workday, but it's on our mobile device or mobile applications and in Slack and Teams. And so if we can bring those experiences to you, you're not in a place where you're disrupted, you need to think about that task, go somewhere else, log in, you can just complete it right there.
Yeah, taking that context shift away is like,
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times it feels like every day I go to email or I go to the browser to do something, and by the time I get there, I'm distracted by something,
Right.
and I'm like, what did I come here for?
Exactly.
And, so
Yeah.
it's nice that it just shows up, and again, I just have to click it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Berea, talk about the intentionality that we're trying to bring to the experience for this kind of diversity of users that Jeff was talking about, whether it's employees or managers, professional users, frontline workers. What's the idea there?
Yeah, I think for us, we're really trying to think about meeting them where they are. And what we're seeing, especially for employees and managers, is that they're using over 80 different tools at work. And how can we really simplify that and put everything exactly where they need it so they're not being distracted? And so for frontline workers in particular, we're thinking a lot about mobile and how can mobile really help them by bringing all the capabilities they need right to them. Frontline workers are always on the go, right? They always have their mobile phones in their pocket, and it really helps them be productive and engaged. And so in mobile specifically, we've seen our usage just continuing to grow. Over the past 5 years, it's grown by a rate of 1.5x what we're seeing on desktop usage. And so, a lot of that is some of these key industries like retail, hospitality, manufacturing, with a lot of frontline workers coming onto Workday. But it's also just kind of an organic trend, right? We all have our phones with us at all times. We're all expecting to be able to do everything on our phones these days. And so we're really thinking about mobile as the place for frontline workers, but also just casual users in general, right? Employees and managers.
Yeah, and again, it's removing a point of friction. Like you say, it's in my pocket, it's in my purse, I have it.
Yep.
I was talking earlier with some folks from the city of Baltimore, and they were saying that all the workers in the yard or who are out in the field in the community, and they thought that would be a community that would be really hard to reach with Workday. And it turns out like people have really taken to it because it's easy. They don't have to go back to the office. They don't have to go, deal with a person in a department. It's like, I've got the thing.
That's right.
I put the request in. I say okay or whatever. And I thought it was just a really interesting perspective to speak to what you're talking about.
Yeah. We were actually talking with one of our customers yesterday, BJ's Wholesale, and they were telling us that in every store there's actually only 2 computers. And so by having the capabilities on mobile, it's really enabling their entire workforce to engage with Workday. So.
The one thing I would add is because this rich experience is built on Workday, on top of Workday's core technology, and probably most importantly, the people data, we actually have the ability to deliver the content that user in particular needs to be more effective, to get the job to be done out of the system. And so managers have very different needs and things that they're doing than employees, whether it be frontline worker or a desk worker. And so delivering a compelling experience that lets them do that is unique to Workday, quite frankly, and something that we can do because we have that rich people data to drive those personalized experiences.
Yeah, and that's on top of things that you could also envision, like we know there are yearly events, and we know you've changed roles and things like that, where there can also be some guidance to sort of get you through what you need to do there.
Yeah,
it's becoming even more important, and we talk about this all the time in the new world of hybrid work. Right? There isn't those notions or those norms anymore where it's like you come in to do these things at this time in this task, right? And so we have to be much more fluid in the way that we think of work. That's why we really talk about as meeting people in the flow of their work. That flow's changed a lot for the last couple of years, right? And so being more flexible, being more fluid, being right where they need to be is really important.
Yeah.
So, Berea, would you add anything to the idea of mobile and where you think it's going to go over the next? I mean, if it's growing 1.5x today, where does it go from here?
Yeah, I mean, already 30% of people who are accessing Workday are doing so from a mobile device. And so as you project that out, you see how much more important it becomes. And we have some customers that are pushing 95% mobile usage. And so as we think about mobile, it's really about making sure that the capabilities that people expect are there and that it's really simple and follows those intuitive patterns that they see in all the other apps that they use. So.
What I love the most about the work that Berea and our team are doing, though, too, is leveraging the device capabilities in a way that transforms that experience. So the flow isn't just great, but it's also taking advantage of the modality and the capabilities to transform it even further.
Yeah.
Because there's really rich capabilities there.
Yeah, so cool.
A great example of that is the new mobile expenses experience that we did, which leverages, the camera that's already built in to just snap a photo of the receipt, submit it straight to Workday, and you're set.
I know, it's great, right? It's like you don't have to think. It's like, it's done.
The crowd went wild when Berea announced it.
Go wild.
Fan
Every
favorite.
conference, that's like the highlight experience now, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's like a business trip is the only time when they say, do you want a receipt? I have to say yes. And then I got to put it somewhere. And so, it's nice to just snap it and
then
know
you're
that
done.
it's taken care of. So clearly a lot happening. Jeff, where do we go from here? What's next?
Yeah. We get asked this a lot, and it's really about executing on our strategy. We have a really strong vision, and it's been informed by lots of conversations with our customers, really doing deep analysis of that data, watching how users are behaving and understanding that, doing more experimentation. I mean, for the first time now, we're actually testing things both on the Today page and in mobile, where we're really looking about how do we optimize. So that has to continue. Like, we just have to get better and better about making sure that we're executing really well on our strategy. But I think what you'll also see is it's going to get more tailored, more personalized, and I hope more predictive. And so the more that we can help be there before an individual needs to think about what they need to go do and then go figure out how to do it, we want to be much more predictive in that notion so that we can push those things to you. Okay, you come in and you're like, what do I have to do today? You go to your to-do list, you're like, what if we could help you with those first couple of items, and they're already there presented right in front of you, and now you're like, oh, now I just need to act on that. I don't need to think about it, create it, go do it. We present it to you in a way where it helps take that stress and that pressure off of you and really make work effortless.
And again, the idea of the technology meeting people where they are.
Yes.
And I don't have to go look for the thing came to me.
Exactly.
And then and then another stressor removed.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, thank you all for being here. This has been awesome. I want to thank my guests, Berea Schaffer, Jeff Gelfuso, and Ali Fuller for joining me today. Thank you all so much for being here. I'm Greg Thomas from Workday, and thank you so much for watching.